For a long time, Konami and the treatment of Silent Hill have been the subject of jokes and lament, for good reasons you already know. So during the recent presentation, it was surprising to see efforts taken to revitalize the IP. A lot of titles were announced, all seemingly branching out the ground the series usually covers. Although I fear this may be oversaturating the brand, especially as the quality of this next step is yet to be seen, it does seem earnest enough. But the subject which took most of the attention was the long speculated Silent Hill 2 remake. For a while this was Konami's trump card akin to Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII remake, an influential and beloved game waiting until the last second and waning sales to reveal itself. My opinion on remakes in general I could say for another time, but to say it short and sweet, I don't believe a remake is inherently a good thing. That new technology and staff somehow achieves a better result than those who initially created the idea. That art isn't a t-shirt and fresh pressing doesn't invalidate the old. That's not to say a remake can't work, but again, another time. At the moment, the info on the specifics is spare, enough for speculation, like the redone combat system. Who knows how it will play out, but the aspect that sticks out most to me was the overall presentation. The characterization of James is one of the main takeaways from this trailer. Silent Hill 2 is underscored by a sopping malaise, none more evident than in James's personality. That's not to say he shows no emotion, but only when the situation commands it out of him. Other than that, he is listless and dissociated from reality. A common example people bring up is the iconic opening scene where he clasps his face in the mirror, as if he's using both sight and touch to check if it's still really him. Compare that to the remake where James looks as though he's in pain in the midst of emotional turmoil, a heightened state that doesn't mesh with this action. This is my biggest issue with this trailer, is that for a lot of what was shown, James has this sad puppy dog face throughout it all, as if to emphasize to the highest extent the tone and severity of this story. I don't have an issue with melodrama, but it doesn't feel right for the source material. This point also extends to the voice acting. Way back when, I remember people were split on whether the often stilted and ambient performances were as a result of obvious direction or the quality of the era. It depends on the game and line in question, but I believe it was mostly intentional and improved as time went on. This approach really set it apart from the Hollywood style that was later fully adopted as the norm, as not only does it fit the tone better, but also reflects unique cadences seldom heard.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary.
Now looking at the trailer, what do we see?
Could she really be here? Waiting for me? Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. I don't need you anymore. But it's all over now.
Although I have not played any of Bloober Team's other games, I have done a little research into the story and presentation of some of their other titles, and to me it seems the biggest issue is that they struggle when it comes to handling subtlety and implication, which are key components of how Silent Hill 2 tells itself. The characters they populate their stories with come from a familiar lineup of stricken and comfortably conflicted personalities with little left unknown. To be fair, this can't all be pinned on Bloober, as some of the original team was brought back, and it seems that Konami is a bit more vigilant on the end result than is common with their outsourced works. But it does highlight the idea about time and place I brushed over at the beginning, that a lot of art is lightning in a bottle. Back to the game, the interesting thing about James was not simply that he killed his wife and felt guilt, that's as straightforward a drama as they come, but that his reasoning is muddied and left unto the player. Some may see it as a mercy killing, others as a building frustration might in resent or lust, or perhaps as simple apathy. Although I wouldn't use it as a measuring tool for all stories, it's in my personal opinion that more modern stories benefit when they stray from tradition and imbue a personal spike of reality into it. It's very hard to describe accurately what I mean, but an example that often comes to mind is the shadows in Persona 2. Although there are hints throughout, for most of the story you're surrounded by colourful characters and a mystical setup, something familiar but distant from the player. Then towards the end, we're presented with a striking and intimate reveal that all along, deep down, a side of them held attitudes of contempt, jealousy, and delusion. It's a sharp note which injects a much needed slice of reality into the works. From my own guess, Bloober will not place as much emphasis on these aspects, maybe just grinding the characters in endless self-imposed turmoil, and as a result, have the finished product be less personal and riveting. Despite the photorealism and prestigious voice acting, the all too serious tone, it may be bested by a game which came out 20 years prior on inferior hardware, little budget, and small-time creatives.